What's up guys, Lewis here from Incredible back with another indie game review. And today we are talking about Descenders, which is a new downhill mountain biking game coming to PC and Xbox One on Tuesday the 7th of May and Nintendo Switch and PS4 at a later date. Now the game is developed by Rage Squid and is being published or is published by No More Robots. And I've had the pleasure of playing this game for about the last 15 months because this game has been available in early access for 15 months, but now we are getting a full 1.0 release, and I've had the joy of playing that 1.0 release for the last about a week, and I'm going to be honest now, I've had a lot of fun with the game. But before I really dive into the meat of the review, just want to point out that we do not score games here. So if you're going to sit around for the video, get to the end and get disappointed that there's no score, I can only apologise. There is not going to be a score in this review. We don't score games anymore. It's just my impressions, around about 10-15 minutes of me talking about the game, my full deep dive of the game. Obviously no spoilers because this isn't really a spoilerish game, but there will be no score. Enough banging on about that. Let's dive into Descenders, the downhill mountain biking game. Now, downhill mountain biking games aren't exactly a huge genre, so this didn't really have tons to compete with. I know there is Lonely Mountains downhill coming later this year, but Descenders is pretty much in a category of its own. I mean, you could compare it to classic arcade kind of extreme sports games like Tony Hawk and stuff like that. And yes, it does capture the essence of that kind of game, that kind of arcadey feeling when you nail a real challenging trick that you've been trying to get for a little while. But as I said, it does sit on its own. But that's not a bad thing, as I've had so much fun with Descenders over the 40 hours I've put into the game. Just over 40 hours anyway. So let's dive into actually what Descenders is. Now, as I've said about 4 or 5 times now, it is a downhill mountain biking game. One thing it does really well is it manages to capture a nice balance between sim and arcade. And the way it does that is the handling feels very sim-like. To land tricks, you need to make sure you're kind of landing on your back wheel, just slightly on your back wheel. Or if you're landing on a downhill, you need to make sure your weight is balanced correctly or transferred correctly. The arcade element comes in where there's jumps where you can get obscene amounts of height. There's jumps where you can jump onto a ramp that's being held by a helicopter to then jump off and land on another ramp. Like, the arcade element comes in the aesthetics, I suppose, or some of the stunts that the game allows you to do. But very much the handling and nailing the tricks does feel very sim-like. Now, I'll get onto how the sim stuff makes the game challenging in a bit. But let's kick into what actually is exciting about Descenders, or the way the game runs, shall we say. Now, what's surprising to hear if you don't know, is Descenders is a rogue-like sports game. Now, the way that works is, when you spawn into these trails, as they're called, these new maps, okay, then you're given a set number of lives. Now, the main aim of the game, if you want to call it the main aim of the game, is to get from Trail 1, which is called Highlands, all the way through to the end of Trail 4, which is called Peaks. So you start in Highlands, which is pretty mellow kind of course. It's going through some foresty areas, hitting kind of man-made built kickers. Nothing that's too big. You're not going to get anything more than like 1 second airtime here. You're not going to hit much more than like a 360 or a single backflip or a 360 backflip. Then you go on to somewhere forest, it offers something new, which is like narrow trails with trees. Then you go into canyon where you start getting bigger kickers coming out, more airtime. You need to actually start nailing your landing, your downhill landing. And then you come to the peaks, which, trust me now, when I say peaks is fecking hard. But again, I'll go on to that in a minute. So when you jump into the first trail, let's say for Highlands, you're given 5 lives. Now every time you bail or crash, you lose one of those lives. Once all your lives are gone, that is it. Game over. You need to go back and start again at the beginning of trail. Well, kind of. I'll get again to that in a minute. I'm being very cryptic, but I'm trying to get through everything here. Now, each time you jump into a new node, which you can see in these maps as you're seeing on the gameplay now, you are given a challenge. It might be land a 360, it might be land a backflip, it might be finish the course or finish the trail without taking your hand off the accelerator. Now, by doing that, you're given a life. So it's kind of risk and reward. It's like, okay, I've lost 3 or 4 lives now. I don't want to lose any more, but I need to gain a life. Do I go for the don't take my finger off the accelerator and look to try and get that life, or do I risk that maybe it's last stand and I bail and I've lost all my progress? So there's a kind of risk and reward element to the game that the challenges bring on. For the most part, these challenges are pretty damn good. I will say I had the odd occasion where it would be one like reach a top speed of 85 kilometers an hour and I was on a pretty mellow track and there was just no way of achieving that. That happened on the very rare occasion, but it did happen. Now, as I said, when you die, it's game over, you get back. You can unlock new starting points, as in, I can unlock the ability to start in the forest, which is the second area, or I can unlock the ability to start in the canyon, which is the third area. And by doing this, at the end of each section, you've probably seen on the maps that you're seeing on the gameplay, there's a skull node, okay? The skull node is the boss jump, and these are your kind of ultimate arcade style jumps. The one in the Highlands is a pretty simple one, or it doesn't feel simple at first. It feels pretty crazy when you first do it, but on your kind of, after about 15, 20 hours into the game, you're nailing it pretty much every time. And this is one where you just go down a big, steep hill, you hit a kicker, you jump over a train, and you land. I'm making it sound pretty casual. It's damn cool when you do it. By nailing this jump 3 times, not on the same occasion, obviously, in 3 different runs, you then unlock the ability to start in the forest the next time. And then by nailing the one in the forest 3 times, you get the ability to start in the canyon the next time, and so on and so on and so on. This allows you to obviously start further on and nail that area. Like I said, each area does offer its own kind of skill challenge to overcome. Now, by doing these tricks, by completing these trails, by completing these challenges, you're building up rep, a classic kind of XP style thing that's been around in sports games for years. Now, what can rep get you? Now, rep on the whole part doesn't get you tons really. The rep only actually, I've found, has one unlock to it, and that is when you get to 250,000 rep, you unlock Career Plus, which is like 4 new levels for you to jump into. I'm going to be honest, I've not unlocked the 4th level. I mean, Career Plus is pretty damn challenging. I've got through the first 3 stages, and the 4th one, I still don't know what it is, but I mean, take that as you will. I've got over 40 hours in the game. I'm just saying it gets really hard. Now, one thing I will note about these new Career Plus, they feel very different to your standard levels. Your standard levels feel kind of man-made kickers and stuff like that. For example, the first stage of the new Career Plus, or Career Plus, whatever it's called, is the desert stage. Now, this doesn't have a single stunt on it, like not a single kicker, not a single ramp. However, you're getting some serious airtime because it's like it's natural-made sand dunes. And it brings a whole new approach to the game. The way you have to hit your line, the way you have to make sure your takeoff's correct and you're landing on the downhill and you're linking all your lines together I jumped into it and I was trying to hit all these tricks and I was like, okay, I need to learn these courses first. And that's kind of testament to the game throughout. Descenders is very much a game that you are not going to be good at when you jump in. And it's going to be a little bit overwhelming how hard the game is at first. But it is a case of every time I jumped in to play the game, I got better each time. Sliding around corners in the forest area to make sure that I'm keeping up speed, I'm building up rep points while avoiding trees is a skill that took me maybe 10 hours to learn and nail, but I got it down. And understanding the kickback when you come out of the slide, how your bike doesn't just naturally come out of it, how the back wheel as it comes back into position kind of wobbles the front handlebars. Learning how to deal with that is all an obstacle that I really enjoy doing, and that's where that sim element comes into it. The game has so much to offer, like there's tons to do here, and yes, there is a big element of grinding to unlock the different starting points, but it's a genuine fun grind because the grind is classic roguelike. It does a classic roguelike thing where the only way you get further in the game, there's not roguelite, there's no no perks or passives apart from tiny ones that don't stick around. The only way you get further in the game is by playing the game and getting better at the game. And I don't think Descenders could have done it any other way. Now, I will point out that each trail here, each map here is procedurally generated, which I feel like it has to be because otherwise you're going to kind of learn how to nail one trail or one track. And it's going to get a bit repetitive, kind of going in and in and in and constantly doing the same one. Now, the procedural generation, on the most part, 95% of the time works very well. Like I said, when it doesn't work is when you're thrown into a trail that's your challenge is to get to a top speed of whatever and it's just really flat and there's no speed on it, or it's to do a backflip and just aren't any jumps on your trail. That's very rare, but that's where the procedural generation does on the very mild occasion let yourself down. Now, you are constantly rewarded throughout the game. I will also point this out with cosmetic items. So by finishing trails, or every time you wreck it, as the game calls it, basically means lose all your lives, you're given a new cosmetic item. These can be equipped in what's called the shed in the homeworld, which I'll touch on very quickly in a minute. But these cosmetic items range from bikes to helmets to goggles to tops to shorts to all sorts, okay? And although these are pretty cool and I like getting given them, I will point out that one thing that I felt a bit, I suppose, let down on was the fact that if I had a really, really, really good run, I was still only given just one cosmetic item. So if I was grinding for cosmetic items, I mean, they do slow down at the end. There are times when I didn't get them because I maybe grinded them all out on one area. But if I was grinding them at the beginning, I could have just jumped in and bail out just to get a cosmetic item when I finished and jump in again. And it felt a bit weird. There's no rare, or it doesn't feel like there's a rarity to them. It doesn't seem like there's a rarity to them. And I will also point out that one thing that really, I suppose, annoyed me a little bit is the fact that I did get duplicates. I got there's a camera you can put on your handlebars, which doesn't actually do anything. It's just a cosmetic item. But I got it twice, and it's just like, well, this run took me 45 minutes, the next one took me 45 minutes. I got the same cosmetic item. That's a little bit annoying. Now, I do want to point something up, which is reminding me, the camera on the handlebars. Now, as you can make your way down these trails, the nodes offer different variety. Most of the time, they're just kind of get from point A to point B, as many tricks as you can, get as much rep as you can, you're done. But there is some variety to spice them up as you go along. These nodes consist of stuff like medic nodes, which basically mean when you finish this node, you get an extra life. So if you finish it while doing the challenge as well, you get 2 extra lives at the end, which is a nice little thing. And again, is that risk and reward? How hard is it? Is it too hard to do? And all that. You get fire nodes, which max out on stunts, on curves, and on steepness. So they're pretty hard to do, but you get more rep for them. You get a variety of nodes, but my favourite by an absolute mile is what's called helmet cam nodes. These helmet cam nodes are first person downhill mountain biking, and this is honestly one of the best elements of the game. The game's great anyway, but this is the standout game mode of the game. Now, again, the procedure generation does let it down sometimes. I had times when I jumped in on helmet cam, and it was just pretty much a straight run, and it was just like, okay, I'm going fast, but I want to be nailing backflips and front flips and putting in 360s or even 360 backflips in first person mode. Someone who has done snowboarding for a long time, knowing how to spot your landing and getting that feeling of rotating in the air through the eyes of the rider, they nail it. Like Rage Squid has nailed it really well, and it's a way of doing like VR without actually being in VR. And it works brilliantly. So much so, I almost wish there was just a helmet cam mode in the game. Straight up helmet cam mode. I could just jump in. Because I suppose on the downside, there's no way of practicing in first person. And trust me now, when I say nailing a simple backflip in first person is very different to in third person. And just spotting your landing, getting used to it. It took me 4 or 5 runs of bailing to be able to do it. But I can only practice when I'm actually in my run and I'm losing lives by bailing. But that is by a mile the standout mode right there. Now, last little thing to touch up on. There are other game modes available. So there are dailies. The game does offer dailies where you can jump in. You start up at the top of the highlands. You got to get your way as far as you can, building up as much rep as you can. Once you lose all your lives, your rep score goes onto the dailies board. And hey ho, if you're at the top of the dailies board, then brilliant. Congratulations to you. I don't know if you get rewards for being at the top. My highest finish was 15th. I didn't get rewards to finish 15th. You also get daily challenges. These will be things like jump over or get 3 seconds airtime in one jump, or finish 5 runs without bailing, or finish 5 runs in the forest area. These link into sponsorship. So after you've played the game for a little bit, you get the ability to unlock a sponsor. You choose a sponsor, and then by doing these daily nodes, or these daily challenges, you can work your way towards becoming, from a novice rider for Enemy was the sponsor I chose. So I was a novice rider to Enemy, and you build your way up and you get different perks. On the cosmetic items, I should point out, they don't carry any stats. And although I understand helmets, goggles, tops, weird little flag things hanging from your bike, not carrying stats, I would have liked to have seen the bikes carry stats, because the game, the way the nodes work, it very much lets you play how you want to play the game. And I felt, I suppose, a little bit let down the fact that they didn't go one step further with that and allow me to choose what bike I want to take to allow me to play the game even more my style. So maybe I could take a bike that doesn't wobble much at high speeds, but isn't that great at rotating. So maybe I'm like, okay, I'm just going to just hit basic flips with this one, but I'm going to mainly go for high speed stuff. I know that may contradict the way some nodes work, but you could obviously choose nodes that will go into your bike style. Much like the Trials games do, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get at. Now, on that, there are ways of making not a run easier, but a way, like passage you can get on a run. Now, as you get rep by doing these runs or rides, as again the game calls them, you get the chance to unlock crew members. Now, obviously, if you just jump into peaks, which is the final area, jump straight in there. By the time you get to the end of peaks, you're going to get the chance to unlock, 2, maybe 3 at the very most crew members. And these can be stuff like increase or decrease wobble when going at high speed, or rotations happen faster, or don't lose health when bailing harder, or you can land harder before you actually bail. Like, these are kind of the passives you get. Gives you a compass. Like, there's tons you can do. And but if you go from highlands and make your way through highlands to forest to canyon to peaks, then getting these crew members, by the time you get to the end of peaks, you're going to have like 7, maybe 8 crew members, and you're going to be kind of build up the playstyle you want. And I'm telling you now, trust me, the peaks boss jump, it's not easy. There's not many easy boss jumps in the game, but that's just testament to the game. Overall, I've genuinely loved my time with Descenders. It's not a game for everyone, I will say that now, and repetition does set in. It's a roguelike, and take that as you will, but roguelikes have a tendency to fall victim to repetition. Despite the procedural generation doing the best it can to stop that, it does still it does slip in here and there, and there were times I put the game down after 2 hours of playing it and being like, I'm a bit bored of this now because it got repetitive. But on the whole, I've had a lot of fun jumping in, and the most fun has come from getting better at the game. If you want if you want to scratch that Tony Hawk itch that you've maybe had, then I recommend jumping into this, because you'll get better at the game by just playing it. And when you the feeling of nailing a double backflip 720 or a backflip 360, or even your first tweaked 360 with a no hands grab, like the first time you nail that and you get a clean land and it goes into the next transition, and then you start sliding the corners, and then you start getting your kickouts, and then you start just flying down the peak runs without even performing stunts, just getting some serious speed, and you're kicking the back tire out at the right time. It feels brilliant. It genuinely feels brilliant. And Rage Squid have done an amazing job of capturing that feeling of you getting better at the game is the only way to really progress in the game. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with Descenders. I would recommend it to pretty much anyone, but again, it is a case of, if you don't like roguelikes, if you don't like grinding a game out, it's maybe not going to be the one for you, because to unlock the new points, you do need to grind them out. And if you just don't like sports games, or you don't like mountain biking, or just the idea of this arcade style challenging sports game, then again, it's not going to be for you. But on the whole, the game's great. Honestly, I've had a lot of fun with it. I've got 42 hours at the moment on my Steam account. I'm actually going to kind of drip off it a little bit for now, because when it comes to Switch, I'm just going to buy it again. I want to play it more. I hope the devs keep supporting it. I hope they start bringing new maps to it. I hope there's kind of in-game tournaments, because that'd be really cool. I should point out, multiplayer is in the game. I played it in beta. The way it works is kind of ghost riders around you. You make your way down the mountain. Once you get to the end of, or go through the checkpoint, the final checkpoint, you get told like who had the most airtime, who had the highest score, and things like that. I haven't played multiplayer 1.0 because there are not many people reviewing it. I've really struggled to find any rooms or anyone playing it, but I have played it in beta, and even in beta the multiplayer was solid, so again, take that as you will. But that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully, if you're interested in Descenders, you're going to check it out, or hopefully this review has at least kind of shed some light on what the game is, or what the game does well, or what the game I personally didn't like about it. Again, thank you so much for stopping by. If you like the video, then why not give it a little like? It really does make me smile, or makes us smile at Indie Credible. And if you like us at Indie Credible, or you like what we do, and you want to keep up to date in more indie game content, including news, reviews, previews, and of course a weekly podcast, then why don't you subscribe? Trust me, we try to bring you the best content we can. And if you really like what we do, why don't you head over to patreon.com/IndieCredible, or hit the link in the description below. You get exclusive pre and post show podcast content, as well as an ad-free experience, and you get access to our Discord server, where we give away game keys, we jump on, we play games with our patrons, and we just genuinely have some good gaming or general banter on there. It's good fun, so come and join the Indie Credible community if you want over at patreon.com/IndieCredible. That's going to wrap it up, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you are playing Descenders and what you think to it, or if you're thinking about grabbing it. If you've got any more questions about the game, please jump in the comments below. I will respond to any question about the game. Once again, thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Have a great day, morning, evening, wherever it is, wherever you are, and goodbye.